Joyce and Michael Conlan were allegedly cheated out of their medals, but their chances of improving their 2016 Olympic medals have faded as the man in charge of investigating boxing corruption indicated that determining which fights in Rio were manipulated remained elusive. Stick around for more details. First, let's look into Richard McLaren. Professor Richard McLaren, in the second of three findings investigating the AIBA, amateur boxing's regulatory body, claimed that he had no doubts that substantial and rampant match manipulation occurred in Rio, with referees and judges discussing results ahead of time. However, due to the subjective nature of boxing's scoring system and the reality that the prearranged outcome was often the correct one, it was difficult to show beyond a reasonable doubt that the individual fights were manipulated. Joyce's loss in the super heavyweight final against France's Tony Yoka and Conlan's loss in the bantamweight quarterfinal to Russian Vladimir Nikitin were among 11 fights scrutinized by McLaren in October. As a result, Joyce and Conlan both hoped for a chance to be upgraded to a gold and bronze medal, respectively. Next, doubts of corruption. McLaren said he was now looking at 11 suspicious bouts that were most likely tainted as part of a bout manipulation system in which judges decided who would win specific fights ahead of time. He cited the disputed defeats of Britain's Joyce and Ireland's Michael Conlan as examples of bouts under scrutiny. According to McLaren, a payment of up to $250,000 was allegedly proposed to rig the outcome of the lightweight semifinal between Mongolians Otkandalai Doranjambu and France's Sofiane Aoumba, but no money was paid and the Mongolian boxer lost with strange scoring. However, despite evaluating 77 matches, McLaren stated on Friday that his staff had not been able to come up with a technique that would allow them to be confident enough to fulfill the legal requirement in order to sanction a person who had engaged in bout manipulation. He explained that boxing officiating is highly subjective because there were no real benchmarks by which to evaluate bouts. So while they tried a variety of methodologies to declare a bout was manipulated, they came to the conclusion that it is not possible to do so to the level necessary to bring disciplinary action to the sport. As recently as the World Junior Boxing Championships in Poland in April, McLaren was able to unearth further proof of corruption in various aspects of the sport. McLaren also brought up the deputy supervisor's actions during the 2016 World Junior Boxing Championships in St. Petersburg, where he said he influenced referees and judges to score in favor of particular countries. Outcomes of honesty. According to McLaren, some witnesses indicated concern of coming out against corruption, with ones going as far as to say that he would be killed if he did. McLaren also disclosed that Karim Bouzidi, the former executive director of AIBA, who oversaw the conspiracy to bribe judges in Rio, continued to retain clout in the sport after leaving the AIBA. Before the 2016 Rio Olympics, there was a culture of fear, intimidation, and compliance among judges, according to McLaren, and those who were honest paid the price. He described it as a total reverse of Santa Claus's tale of the bad and good, in which the naughty were given an appointment at Rio because they were willing, or under duress, to back any manipulative request, while the nice were left out. According to McLaren, in one example, a senior judge used a set of room keys obtained from the front desk to enter the room of an honest official late at night. The official was then informed that the witness's future might be jeopardized as a result of the way the bouts were being scored. The witness stated that he was terrified because he imagined somebody barging into his room and informing him that what he was doing was wrong. Looking at everything that Richard McLaren has come up with so far, it can be assumed that Joyce and Michael Conlan will have to retain their original matters. Next, another news. Vidal Riley. According to promoter Ben Shalom, Vidal Riley will move away from the YouTuber boxing scene where he made his name and proved himself to be one of the serious guys. Riley, a cruiserweight prospect, will return to the ring with Sky Sports Boxing and Boxer after enhancing his reputation and establishing his own successful social media presence while trading KSI for a rematch victory over YouTube rival Logan Paul. He also prepared Ian Isan Gibb for a new social media confrontation with Jake Paul, who resumes his professional boxing career on Saturday with a rematch against Tyrone Woodley. Riley's promoter, Shalom, claimed he's doing everything he can to avoid YouTuber boxing. Jake is a competent fighter in terms of his history, but he isn't a serious boxer, according to him. He went on to clarify that boxing has several degrees. Vidal has been a boxer his entire life, has competed for Team GB, and is a true talent. He aspires to rise above these similarities and to be recognized as a great boxer in his own right, which he will do with time. Riley has fought twice in Las Vegas and is unbeaten in 4 fights. His fame has soared as a result of his relationship with KSI and the Paul brothers, but he is now focused on restarting his own ascent. Terrence Crawford versus Josh Taylor. When it comes time for Terrence Bud Crawford to go up to 147 pounds in 2022, he's certain that he'll be able to handle undisputed light welterweight champion Josh Taylor. The Tartan Tornado is a fictional character. If Taylor, age 30, climbs up to 147 pounds, he may be making a mistake since he barely beat Regis Porget and Jose Ramirez. If those guys had made a few tweaks in their battles with Taylor, they may have won. Taylor's narrow victories over Porget and Ramirez indicate that he isn't ready to go up to 147 147 pounds and face lions like Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Yordenis Ugas, Joannis Ennis, or Virgil Ortiz Jr. Those men are currently the best in the 147-pound division. Connor Ben, we're sorry, but you didn't make the cut. Taylor, with a record of 18-0 and 13 knockouts, wants to move up to welterweight next year, believing he's done everything there is to accomplish at 140 pounds. Taylor should keep his 140-pound belts as he moves up to 147 pounds and gets his feet wet. Taylor would still have his championships at 140 to fall back on if he can't cut it at 147. Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Keith Thurman, David Avasayan, and Aegis Kavakluskis are all good alternatives for Taylor to test the waters at 147. There's no point in Taylor competing at 147 if he can't beat all of those guys. Unfortunately, Taylor is unlikely to beat even half those fighters before starting to lose fights left and right. Ennis, Ortiz Jr., and maybe Thurman, if he has anything left, would all defeat Taylor. He's already ruled out a battle with former lightweight undisputed champion Teofimo Lopez, despite the fact that it would be a massive bout and certainly the most comprehensive he's ever had. Not that confident. What? When asked what would happen if Terrence Crawford fought Josh Taylor, he replied, "Of course I'm going to say me." When asked if Josh Taylor would be as hurt as opponent if they fought at 147 pounds, Crawford said that he's not sure we'll find out since he can't declare an opponent as harder than anyone he's faced until he's been in the ring with them. Taylor will be out for another 2 months before he defends his title against Jack Catterall, 26-0 with 13 knockouts, on February 26th at Glasgow's SSE Hydro. Josh is squandering 9 months of his career by rematching with possibly a domestic-level fighter whose finest career win came 3 years ago against British domestic-level fighter O'Hara Davies. Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk has stated that he would consider a bout with Canelo Alvarez at cruiserweight if he could keep his IBF, WBA, and WBO heavyweight championships. Usyk, with a record of 19-0 and 13 knockouts, the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, was asked this week if he'd be interested in facing Canelo in his previous weight class, and he replied yes. Usyk has heard of IBF super middleweight champion Caleb Plant's $10 million plus purse for his fight with Canelo on November 6th, and he wants in on the action. Usyk, the Olympic gold medalist from 2012, is waiting to learn when his rematch with Anthony Joshua would take place. The battle isn't scheduled until March or April of the next year. Comparing abilities. Alexander, who is 6 feet 3 inches tall, possesses exceptional boxing and technical abilities as well as a strong chin. So Canelo's ability to score knockouts while having a very low punch output in prior fights won't likely work against Usyk. Usyk would disgrace Canelo and likely get a stoppage unless Canelo can fire more shots and fight tougher than he has been. Usyk would have no trouble dropping to cruiserweight for some light work against the diminutive 5 feet 8 inch Canelo, who has a record of 57 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws with 39 knockouts. Since he weighed in at 221 pounds for his previous bout at heavyweight against Joshua, who's 24-2 now with 22 KOs, on September 25th. Cruiserweights often start at 200 pounds and then rehydrate to approximately 215. Usyk's weight loss from 221 pounds to 200 pounds would be simple, since he'd only have to shed 5 pounds of muscle and then dehydrate the rest of the 15 to 16 pounds of water weight to reach the 200-pound limit in time to fight Canelo. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you guys think of the corruption in the boxing world? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. And we'll see you in the next one.